Hello. I think it's working. Never quite sure when I press go live if it's actually on. Thanks, Ollie. Hello, Danny, Ollie, Marcus, Mal. Hello. I wasn't sure I was going to get back in time. I had something to do this afternoon that should have taken about 2 hours, and it ended up taking 4. And of course, the buses are on holiday timetables. Ed, hello. I'm doing a lot better, thanks. Not totally out of the woods yet, but I'm getting there. Thanks, Danny. It's been an eventful, 7 months since I last went live. Nearly died. Paul, hello. They told me I had about an hour to wake up. But I did everything right when I did wake up. I immediately called an ambulance, and I'm still here. Thanks, Marcus. I have to see the cardiologists on the 16th of May. I'm still not totally, what's the right word? Not sure what the right word is. Still not totally over it. But I'm 80% there. Certainly puts a different perspective on life. My wife thought it might make me think that spending all this money on records was stupid, but actually it made me realise that do it today because you might not be here tomorrow, so enjoy yourself. Marcus, yeah, I had a heart attack. One of the main arteries was totally blocked and the other one was restricted. I've never smoked, never drunk to excess, kept myself fit, exercised, never touched drugs. And so, of course, I was the likely candidate for a heart attack. Thanks, Ollie. Of course, whilst I was laid up, there wasn't a lot to do. I got fed up of reading and watching things on YouTube. So I went on the hunt for records and CDs. And I bought far too much, spent too much money, but that's what it's there for. So I'm going to show you some of what I bought, not all of it, because some of it is going to be for individual videos. Marcus, you've got to take care of yourself. They said the only reason I survived was that my heart was fit, because I'd looked after myself. I said to the cardiologist, I keep hearing, somebody that's looked at, never smoked and drunk, etc., had a heart attack. And he said, you hear those stories because you've survived. The ones that didn't look after themselves didn't survive to tell the story. So look after yourself. Take care of your health. But one good thing that came out of it, I wasn't scared at all. Not once. I was quite matter of fact about it. Led there thinking, well, if this is it, if this is the last hours of my life, then I'm ready and I'm not scared. So I see it as a positive event. I had this problem that I didn't know about, and I could have dropped at any moment. So it's all good. According to this, there's 12 people in. I'll give it a bit longer before I start the showing what I bought. Ollie, TCB, taking care of business. It was Elvis's personal motto. He wore it on a chain around his neck. He gave it to friends. It's on his aeroplane. So it stands for taking care of business. And the lightning flash taking care of business in a flash. Another thing that happened, sadly, was my auntie passed away. She was 3 months off her 103rd birthday. So we said goodbye to her last week. Very well done funeral. Lots of RAF representation, because in the war she was a member of the WAFs, the Women's Auxiliary Air Force. Always very proud of her service in the RAF. That was my mum's older sister. So we said goodbye to her. Now, another thing that happened, I've been having a lot of work done on the house. We've got a brand new kitchen, brand new bathroom, without a bath in it, so can you still call it a bathroom? And I've rearranged my room, so you might notice that the CDs that were along there have gone. I was having to stack albums on the floor. I'd run out of space. So a friend of mine was getting rid of a bookcase. So the bookcase is now here, and my CDs are there. So I'll try and show you that a bit later. David, hello. Ollie. Oh, I hear my wife calling. Hold on a second. I better answer it. What? I don't know. If it's important, she'll come up. Oh, Marcus, yeah. Sadly, all the World War II veterans are disappearing. There aren't too many left. Ollie was in Cheltenham on Wednesday. Very wet Cheltenham at the moment. It never seems to stop raining lately. Danny, my wife is very Russian. There's no finesse. It's all very shouting at the top of her lungs. Let's see if I can turn the camera and show you my CDs. So the CDs now are there. Oh, she's calling again. Hold on. What? I'm on the internet live.
What?
I'm on my channel live.
What do you need?
I'm broadcasting. What do you want?
Right. I don't think we should put shelves.
All right. Tell me later. Tell me later. I'm
What
busy.
Later? It's important.
Tell me later. Hold on a second. I'll be back in a second. It wasn't important. Ollie, you were in Bath Road. I was in Bath Road doing some work. Ah, Portugal. I'm not sure how to pronounce your first name. I'm not even going to try, but hello, Portugal. Gary, hello. We'll be buying the 4 CD, the Memphis recording service. I'm tempted if it's not too expensive. I've got quite a few of those. I've taken my pills. I've got my spray. If I have to take it, you have to excuse me. Sometimes my chest gets tight and I have to take the spray. A couple of times in hospital when they gave me it, I passed out. So if that happens, don't worry. I'll come back round. Hopefully I won't need to use it. So, what have I been buying? Now, as I said, I'm not going to show you everything because some of it is for videos that I'm going to make. So I'll start off with 3 singles. Now, I've got all of Elvis's 70s singles, UK, USA, Japan. Gary, I've heard it's going to be I'll buy it at £40, yeah. Now I've started on Spain. So I've added another couple of Spanish singles. I've got a thing about you, baby. Estoy loco por ti, nena. Or something like that. I like the different covers. And quite a few of the Spanish ones. I can't remember if this is a promo or not. I do pick them up as promos. No, this is the regular orange. So the good thing with collecting the 70s singles is they're not so expensive. Once you get into the 60s, the price starts to rocket. And the Spanish Moody Blue, which is a moody blue, I guess. And again, it's the orange label. The promos are on a white label. Try not to. And I just picked this up because I saw it. So this is Unchained Melody and Softly As I Leave You. And it's actually German, but for some reason it's in English. First release live recordings. So the other things I've picked up are for a video. So I won't show those. Albums. 2 new Blue Hawaiis. I'm up to 38. Picture disc. Now, when I first saw this, I wasn't particularly keen on it, and I thought, shall I not buy it? But then it's Blue Hawaii, so I have to buy it. As you may have seen, there is a Jailhouse Rock one as well. So I guess I have to buy it. Not to let these fall over. Danny, is the Moody Blue release of Unchained Melody or Rhapsody? Don't know, I haven't played it. I just bought it and put it in the pile. I'll find out. And the 38 Blue Hawaii is, of course, the Memphis Mansion one, which I haven't unwrapped yet. It's a gatefold sleeve. So I suppose now's the time to have a look at it, so I can find out how to get into it. You can put it upside down. This is a limited edition of 300. Let's have a look. So this is number 33. Nicely done. I assume it's on black in the sleeves. And blue vinyl with clouds in it. Cloudy blue vinyl. That's quite nice. So it's a single disc gatefold sleeve. So now I've got 38 Blue Hawaiis. How many more do I actually need? We'll see. Somebody dared me to get up to 50. So the next one is the South African Moody Blue. And for some reason they put the song titles on the front cover. Now it is a big empty cover, so I don't mind that. I don't have that many Moody Blues. I think I've got 5 or 6. So. Now, of course, there's Pure Gold. This is the American, the American release, which I had. Ollie, how many Blue Eyes are there? I have no idea. A lot. If you look for every variation of every country, Discogs will probably show you. Paul, hello. I really want that Memphis Mansion. I wouldn't wait too long. They've only done 300. One eye on the football and one eye on the dinner. Danny, I got Pure Gold USA. It's great on that Kentucky drink. Yeah, I'd like the cover. The reason I showed you that, because I already had that, is I came across this. So, Pure Gold, but we've got song titles up here, and if you look, they're not in English. So you can all guess what Prisionero del Rock and Roll, Prisoner of Rock and Roll. It's got to be Jailhouse Rock. So this is Spanish. And again, a different back cover. And when I got that, I thought, well, I might as well get the Czech version. Well, this is Czechoslovakia, Opus in the top corner, Czechoslovakia. Show you the back cover. So there's the back. And it is written in one of the languages they speak. Curtis, hello. And then I tend to do this, I get a little run on a particular album. So this is pure gold, but they've called it solid gold for some reason. It's the same album, and this is Italian. I do have the Japanese one coming as well. Paul, curious about your Blue Hawaii collection. What are you curious about? I did show a lot of them. I made a couple of videos. So the next one, this is, if I remember rightly, this is Italian. So this is from Memphis to Vegas. So the first half of From Memphis to Vegas, Vegas to Memphis. Da Memphis a Las Vegas, Volume 1. So this is the live half of the double album. So now I've got to get Volume 2, which seems to be harder to find. Oops. Marcus, I wish they would do a 50th anniversary release of Live in Memphis Remastered. Who knows, they might. They do seem to be quite good at the anniversaries. Paul, I'm a huge Blue Hawaii collector and I have 30 plus copies. Are yours all different variations? Yes, they're different countries, different pressings. Whenever I see one that I haven't got, I grab it. I did 2 videos quite a while back, if you look. One was the UK and American pressings, and the second one was the worldwide pressings. Sean, hello. There's a sealed 1966 Frankie and Johnny with photo, 270. I have a Frankie and Johnny with the photo, not sealed though. I don't trust sealed albums. I'm even seeing sealed bootlegs. I bought them in the 80s. They were never sealed. It's too easy just to seal an album. Next is a Blue Hawaii. Or is it a Blue Hawaii? It is in fact a Saudades de Prachina. So this is Brazil. Now I like the Brazilian albums because they put the titles in their own language. So whenever I see one, I try and grab it. And it's an orange label. I haven't done a video on GI Blues albums yet. Yep, Danny, yeah, I mean GI Blues. I tried to work out what Saudades de Prachina meant, and Prachina kept coming up as a place. But then eventually I found out that it was a nickname for a Brazilian soldier that served in, I think, World War II. So I think, if I remember rightly, it worked out as something like, was it Sorrows of a Soldier? Something like that. If we've got anybody Brazilian on, they can correct me. Now, this album, when it appears for sale, is always expensive for some reason. So one of the good things about having time to just keep looking on the internet is somebody put this for sale for £16. I've seen it for 75. I don't know why. Apparently it's a collector's item because it says so. So it must be. Now this is from the Netherlands. 12 songs in very special versions, apparently. I don't know why it's so expensive. And I got it for £16, so I was really pleased with that. Because I've seen it for sale several times, and I thought, well, I'm not paying that for it. One of the good things, if you've got time to keep looking, is albums do appear at a reasonable price. Now, I've been on a bit of a roustabout kick lately. Sean, yes, I do like the Brazilian albums. There's another Brazilian album coming up in a minute. Mal, did you get the Sun box? I haven't yet. I've been looking to find one at a reasonable price, but I do want to get it. So I've been looking for roustabouts. I've got a few others, but I'm not going to show them yet because I'm going to do a video. But this was one I've been looking for quite a while. So it's a really nice cover. And if, I don't know if you can see down here, BMG Special Products. Now, when I first saw this, I just thought, I like that. So there's the label. And Marcus has got it. It's on red vinyl. So I was pleased to get that. I had to get it from abroad. Marcus has got it. It's nice, isn't it, Marcus? I liked it the first time I saw it online. Oh, Marcus says it came out of a box set. I wasn't aware of that. You shouldn't tell me things like that, because now I have to look for the box set. Now, I have been looking for RCA Special Products albums. So I've got the things like Candlelight, the box and the album, which I'm assuming you all know. And of course the blue album with and on from Hello from Hawaii. Some of them are a bit more difficult to find. So Elvis Country Memories. Now apparently RCA Special Products, they tend to make albums for specific reasons, like a company wants to license some records to sell on television or something like that. Curtis Record Club, right. So I'm assuming these weren't available in the shop. I think you had to order these. Oops, double album. Both albums are in there. So Curtis's Record Club, a bit like Reader's Digest, where they offer things for sale and you order them. Because we don't have Record Club in the UK. Yes, right. Elvis Country. Now you think of all the fantastic photographs of Elvis. I mean, he must be the most photographed person in history. And they come up with that. Very strange. Never quite looks like him, these pictures. Oh, Marcus, Joe Blues and Blue Hawaii also came in that red. Right, I have got Blue Hawaii on red vinyl. So that's obviously part of the box. I didn't know that. There you go. RCA Special Products, single disc. I agree, Curtis. Why do they use these drawings? I always wonder if it's some manager in the company, his daughter decided to take up art, so he commissioned her. And here is a third, Elvis Country Classics. Now, I can't tell you why, but I like that cover. But I can't explain why. It's very simple. It is a double album, but they've both been packed into a single sleeve. So, printed in the USA. Again, I had to get that from abroad. I actually have a roustabout coming from Uruguay. Now, the next couple of albums are Spanish. So, rock and roll. Now, in 1977, they released 5. I think it was his first 5 albums, and they called them Rock and Roll 2, Rock and Roll 3, Rock and Roll 4, Rock and Roll 5. Now, again, for some reason, when this turns up on eBay, it fetches good money. Orange label. But I found it on the Elvis shop London at a reasonable price. And by coincidence, I saw Rock and Roll Volume 5, which is the date with Elvis, of course. So now I've got to get 2, 3, and 4. So that shows you 2, 3, and 4 there. So 2, for some reason, is a totally different cover. So I'm on the lookout for those. Now, let's see if you can guess. I'll try and cover up the title. If you can guess what album this is. Who's going to guess? This is French. Songs of Inspiration. Inspiration. Yep. So they've nicked the cover. Gospel, folk and blues. A very strange combination. But the French decided that it says gospel, folk and blues. All the songs on it are religious songs. So if somebody can explain what the thinking behind this was. Yes, Curtis, another drawn cover. And there we see Todd Slaughter, the long-serving president of the UK fan club, meeting Elvis. Now, this album confuses me because it's all UK stuff. When I bought it, they said it was French. And at the very bottom, it says, ooh, I don't know, will it get in focus? Probably not, that it's made in France. So that's a very confusing album. It's French. It's all in English. The back is all about the UK fan club. And it actually has the address of the UK fan club. It's called Gospel, Folk and Blues, but all the songs are gospel. It's K-Tel. Harold, hello. Good to see you. So if you ever see this, it's worth buying because it's very confusing. If anybody can understand the logic behind this album, because it's got me baffled. It should be a UK album going on the back cover. But I've never seen a UK pressed version of it. So Elvis Gospel, Folk and Blues, with no focal blues on it. Yes, Marcus, and in the UK as well, it was called Songs of Inspiration. So that's a very strange version of it. So now we have the second Brazilian album, which isn't King Creole, it's Balada Sangrenta. And it's Represado Electronicamente para Estéreo. So there you go. You didn't know I spoke Brazilian. Trilha Sonora Original. Balada Sangrenta. Now I did look up Balada Sangrenta and I've totally forgotten what it said. So if anybody can translate. Harold, do you have 1985 CD Separate Ways? Hold on a second. Oh, what's happened there? Now, am I still here? Because according to this, it's buffering. Is it buffering or am I still here? Bloody Ballad. I thought Sangrenta was blood. Thanks, Marcus. Curtis, I'm still here, right. That's strange. Okay, so I'll just turn that off. Do you have the 1985 CD Separate Ways Camden? Now, I was going to show these in my CD part, but now you've asked. If I can remember where I've put them. One of the other things I did was look for the Camden CDs, and where have I put them? Oh, you have to excuse me a second. They're here somewhere. There they are. So now you've asked. I didn't have any of the Camdens on CD. It's still here. So there is Separate Ways Camden. Is that the one you're asking about? That's the only one I'm aware of, so I assume that's the one. And of course, it's using the American cover. Because as you know, on the UK cover, there are cars on the road. Harold, the 1985 Rare Separate Ways CDs. Not sure what that one is then. I'll have to look that up. Elvis sings hits from the movies, using the word hits very loosely. I'm not sure what year this. Let's see if I can see a year on this. 2007. So there was one in 1985 then. I'm not aware of that one. Ryan, hello. Do you have the Cafe Europa sessions from MRS? No, I don't. No. Curtis, I just did a video showing my CDs today. What Camden ones? Burning Love and Hits from the Movies. RCA Camden Classics. Elvis Sings Flaming Star. Harold. Ed got one, and then I ordered one of my favourite Camden albums. I got lucky. Paul, have you added to your red label? I haven't recently. No. I haven't really been looking. I have made a list of them though, so I know which ones I need to get. You'll Never Walk Alone. I missed And I Don't Care If the Sun Don't Shine with the cover, which is the last of the cover ones that I need to find. And I missed one. Kicked myself. Harold, the 1985 Separate Ways is a Camden Classics version. Let's look into that then. Let's be friends. So I got all these in the space of a few days. I was trying to hunt them down. Oh, that needs a new cover. Stop that. Where did I take those from? So that's all the Camden CDs I've got so far. Ryan, what's the most expensive Elvis bootleg CD you've ever purchased? I'm not sure. Bootleg CD. I really don't know. One doesn't spring to mind individually. I've got quite a lot. I can't think. If one comes to mind, I'll have a look. Now, the other thing, I do like music on vinyl. I like their albums. So I do look out for ones I haven't got. And this one came up. Elvis at Stax. And that's on blue vinyl. 2,000 numbered copies. This is number 1967. Some of the music on vinyl albums are getting very expensive, the early ones. I keep my music on vinyls up here. I've got 22, and I think there are about 30, so I'm not far off. Not too long ago, I picked up the. Unfortunately, when it arrived, the sticker had got, the label had got slightly damaged, which was annoying. So I am trying to hunt down the ones I don't have. Paul, no additions to the book collection. I don't really collect books anymore. I mean, Elvis's story has been done to death. So the most recent, of course, was the Paul Alner's book, The Definitive Guide to UK Record Releases, Volume 1. And I bought David's book, From Memphis to Tokyo. Both books, highly recommend. Paul, been after the music on vinyl, Viva Las Vegas, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, since I've been looking, I've not seen a single one for sale. So those earlier ones, if you see it, you've got to buy it straight away. I'll show you what I've got. as they're handy. So you've seen the box. So these are not too easy to find. The soundtracks. Rarities with Elvis. Now some of these there are coloured versions and black and white black vinyl versions. Got this quite cheaply. Like this is the black vinyl. There's a much harder to find. I think it's yellow vinyl if I remember right. If anybody's got it. This is one of the recent ones. Back in Memphis. Again, another one that's not that easy to find. A roustabout. This, of course, is the most recent for LP fans only. That's in the wrong place. That's not a music on vinyl. Loving You. We've got to Blue Hawaii. Now this is the rarest. Only 363 were produced. It's in pink vinyl. This is number 341. So if you don't know the story, HMV reopened its original shop in London, which I think was at 363 Oxford Street, something like that. So they commissioned 363 copies in pink vinyl, which I assume they sold in their shop. Very hard to find. And I noticed recently a couple were sold, I think around £300. So if you see one, it's worth investing in one because there are only 363 copies. And of course, if you want to complete the collection, it's one you have to get. Finally, Acapulco. Ooh. Clam bake. On stage. Red vinyl. Madison Square Garden. Promised Land. So this is the white marble vinyl. There is a black version which I don't have yet. These two go for stupid money. Hello from Hawaii. It's a 4-disc set, so there are both shows. And it comes with a booklet. Now this one I found in a charity shop, believe it or not. But the sticker was not there. Again, it's a 4-disc set. I've seen this being sold for well over £100. I'm not going to tell you what I paid for it, but I walked out with a big smile on my face. You have to excuse me, I'll catch up with all the messages when I sit down because I'm nearly at the end. Oh, in fact, I am at the end because Stax is the most recent. go back and see where we got to. Cake? Cake? 427. Do you have the making of Jailhouse Rock? I don't. I haven't been buying the FTD books. They're so expensive. Except for a couple of course, I had to get the Blue Hawaii. And Elvis now in person. But I've stayed away from the other books. I tend to be a completist, and if I start buying one, I'm going to have to get them all, and they're so expensive. So you have to be lucky like Mal, who bought them all when they came out. I'm thinking of getting Elvis in person 72. Now, I didn't get it when it first came out, and it started appearing at stupid money. And then on eBay, I found somebody in France who had 10 sets for sale at the release price, and including delivery, it worked out the same as if I'd bought it when it came out. I think they've still got some for sale. Arrived very quickly from France. Paul, trying to track down early Friday music releases. I've stayed away from Friday music. There's so much to collect. I will have to pick up a Blue Hawaii eventually. Elvin, hello. Thank you. Yes, I'm feeling a lot better. Still have to be careful. I might have to have another couple of stents. I've got 6 already, but doing okay. Curtis, I've got a soft spot for his movie soundtracks. Me too. As a kid, they weren't movie soundtracks, they were Elvis albums. And I could enjoy Hair and Scare 'Em as much as King Creole or from Elvis in Memphis. As you get older, you see the difference. But I still enjoy them. Ryan, hello. Do you pre-order the FTD Blue Hawaii Session CD set? I haven't, because I've got the box with the book. And as I decided not to try and complete the FTD releases, I'm probably going to give it a miss. But if you didn't get the book set, then get it. I've always loved the sessions. Back in the 1980s, I was given 4 cassette tapes with the Blue Hawaii sessions on, and I just absolutely loved them. Still do. Harold, have you seen any more Elvis CD singles? I recently bought one, in fact, which luckily is on top because I haven't put it away. This is a promotional use only, not for sale. Now, I don't have any of the Viva Elvis items. I will have to get them. But I saw this and I thought, well, I'll get that. I'm always a bit suspicious of these because they're very easy to just knock up and say it's a promo. Ollie, my Elvis collection consists of Elvis 1, 2nd, and then in Christmas Piece. What would you suggest picking up next? Ooh. There's so much good stuff. So what do we reckon? What should Ollie buy next? I would go for Elvis is Back from Elvis in Memphis as the next 2. The early film soundtracks are great. If you're building your collection, then Gold Records 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are a good solid foundation. But you can't really go wrong. If you're on a budget, I would look out for the Green Label International releases. They're very good for the price, and they reproduce the original album covers. Curtis, I need to get the Blue Eye Session CD set. Yes, you do, if you didn't get the box. But these boxes are so damn heavy. Where is it? So there may be some people who don't know what we're talking about. I'll try and... So for those new collectors like Ollie, the Follow That Dream label is the collector's label. They released unreleased Elvis. So they released the entire Blue Hawaii sessions in this box with a big book. It's always fantastic quality, but they cost a lot of money and they weigh a ton. I've actually shown this on the video if you go and look. So what's happened is they're releasing just the CDs, just the music separately for those who couldn't get the box, which is a good thing. Danny, have you got the bonus photo with the original 64 kissing cousins? I do. If I can spot it. In fact, I think Kissing Cousins, for some reason, isn't among my film soundtracks at the moment. I try to keep the film soundtracks here, but occasionally I go mad and get them all out and then put them somewhere and then can't remember where I put them. Let's see if I can spot them. I did see them recently when I was looking. Where did I put them? You should always put things back in the right place. Except when you don't. Where did I see them? Thought it was up there. See, all my roustabouts are up here at the moment. Where are you? Well, I do have it. It's somewhere. It's very carefully filed in a special place so that I know where it is. If I see it, I'll grab it. Harold, do you have the Greatest Hits live CD? Greatest Hits live CD. There are so many Greatest Hits CDs, I'm not sure which one. Curtis, love to get the book version, but don't have the money yet. No, they are expensive. It's a shame. Paul, do you have all the FTD vinyl? No, I don't. I was saying earlier, I decided not to collect them. When they first started, I started buying them as they came out. So I do have all the early stuff. And then I moved to Finland for 2 years. And just got out of the loop, got out of the habit of buying them. When I came back, I started buying again the ones that were coming out, but I didn't go back, unfortunately, and get the ones I'd missed. And they are sort of amongst the expensive ones now. So I decided I wasn't going to complete those. I do buy the ones that come out. I think I've got about 30. So I do have Blue Hawaii and Standing Room Only and all so that sort of thing. These Kissing Cousins are annoying me now because I saw them quite recently. Where did I see them? have a look at the end. Kissing Cousins. I knew I'd seen it. Is it all of them or some of them? There you go. Now what's nice about this one, this is the American stereo. There's the picture. But the cover is the one without the cast. Now, I've tried to find out why this was released without the cast and nobody seems to know. So again, for new collectors that don't know what I'm talking about. Where did I find it? I've forgotten already. Here we go. So the regular album, this is a UK mono, has a cast photo. But for some reason in America, now you will find it with the cast photo as well, but some were released without it. But nobody seems to know why. Was it just a mistake? Of course, there is a Brazilian Kissing Cousins with a different title, which I haven't found yet. Paul, I have the making of Blue. I love it. Just bought it. Yep, it is great. What I particularly liked in it is, of course, there are photographs of the Stepping Out of Line number, which shows that they did actually film it. So where is that film? I have heard that these outtakes do exist and that some fans have got them and they're hanging on to them, which is a shame. Ryan, I agree, the version without the cast photo does look better. Cast photo is not that great, is it? Looks a bit haphazard. I think of the bonus photos, I'm still missing King Creole. What else? I think there's a couple I'm missing. Can't remember what the other one was. I've got Frankie and Johnny, Harem Scarum, because of course Harem Holiday didn't come with a bonus photo, because in the UK we didn't get bonus photos, like we didn't get picture sleeves on our singles, except for a few. I've got all the photos apart from Kissing Cousins. Nice. King Creole's hard to find. I've only seen one for sale. It was just so expensive, I didn't even try. But we'll have to get it one day. Now, I actually ordered, in the period that I was resting, about 50 CDs from various sources, which are all now stacked. But they are mixed in. Let's see if I can see any of the interesting ones. Because there were quite a few which were nice. I probably won't be able to spot them now. I did pick up the 3 Elvis Shunt, Jerry Lever and Mike Stoller, Mark Schumann and Doc Pomus, and Sid Tepper and Roy Bennett. These are very nice, if you haven't seen these. They're French. They are starting to get quite expensive if you can get hold of them. So of course these are the songwriting teams. So if you see them at a reasonable price, grab them. Oops. Let's see if I can get that back in there. I have to do something about this creaky chair, unless it's my legs. I bought so many CDs that I can't actually remember what I bought. I ordered 15 from one dealer. He must have thought it was his Christmas. It's like there's so many of them that I can't pick out individual ones. Anyway, I bought a lot. Curtis, I didn't know there was a photo with kissing cousins. Well, there was. I always thought they were packed in with the album when they were produced, but apparently the photos were sent to the record shops, and when you bought one they would give you one until they ran out. Paul, I recently purchased a Live in Las Vegas LP and it's got an impersonator. Oh no. Oh dear. How disappointing. I really don't like impersonators. There are a few very good dedicated ones who try to reproduce exactly what Elvis did, but there are so many embarrassingly awful ones. And what's sad is, to the general public, when they think of Elvis in the 70s, they don't think of That's the Way It Is and Aloha from Hawaii and things like that. They think of a very, very, very overweight Elvis with stick-on sideboards, a really bad jumpsuit, warbling very badly. So I don't understand the estate's fixation with the impersonators. I don't think it does Elvis any favours. Andrew, hello. Do you use LP dividers? No, I use books, big books, every so often to try and stop them from leaning, but not always successfully. Paul, I'm talking about the album cover, not... Ah, right. Why, what? That's bizarre. Why would you put an impersonator on the cover? I've noticed quite a lot on YouTube when, what would you call them? Outlets do a little piece on Elvis. Quite often, the pictures they show aren't Elvis, which totally baffles me. I read there was a piece recently, and they were on about Elvis's first album after he left the army, Something for Everybody. If you can't even get your facts right, it's a very simple facts, very easy to check. Ollie, there's an Indian Elvis impersonator who plays Indian restaurants. Oh dear. And there's a Japanese one, I think, as well. Ryan, do you have any Paradise Hawaii style session bootlegs? I don't. Again, I had cassette tapes. What I remember of those is, for some reason, Elvis was belting out I mean, he was really belting some of those songs. Maybe he was trying to inspire himself with the poorer tracks, but he was really giving it some welly from what I remember. I had so much on cassette tape, lots of live cassettes, lots of session. They all vanished. Harold, the Elvis Greatest Hits live CD has him on the 68 in the 68 special. I think I know the one you mean. Yes, I do, somewhere. I'm going to have to come up with some way of categorizing the CDs so that I can find them. I know the one you mean now. It is there somewhere. If I spot it when I'm looking, I'll pull it out. But yeah, I do have that one. Curtis, and he was laughing at the songs too. Yeah. It's such a fantastic sense of humour. And a very intelligent sense of humour as well. He was a lot smarter than people realise. For some reason, there's this myth that grew up, probably because he was from the South and the way he talked, that he was dumb. He was not dumb. He was smart. Ryan, Beat Shop outtakes. Yeah, what do you think I am? And he would always laugh at himself, which is great. Paul, now the Elvis Arches exhibition has been extended to September. Do you have plans to go? Hopefully. Yep, hopefully we'll be able to get there now. At the moment, I can't walk too far. And of course, visiting London means a lot of walking, because I'd have to go on the train. But hopefully I'll be able to go. Ollie, is that the Elvis UK tour in Is that Elvis UK tour in 78 actually a real thing? Yes, it was. It's been confirmed by several sources, including Elvis's road manager, who's right now, his name escapes me. He did an interview and he said that, as you know, Elvis was due to start a new tour. And he said he had a flight booked to London at the end of that tour to go and sign the papers for a venue. Elvis's costume maker said Elvis had told him he needed a special costume because he was doing London. He told Priscilla. I think Ginger Alden's also confirmed it. He was going to do London. Curtis loved to see footage of outtakes from his movies. Yeah, apparently they do exist. Now, who was I think the Elvis Archival Preservation Society, I think they were talking about this, that there are outtakes from the movies, including songs that weren't included, and that they are in private hands. And for some reason, they're sitting on them. I think they're like having something that nobody else has got, but they do exist. So hopefully we'll get to see them one day. Ryan, will this live stream be up on your channel afterwards? Yeah, it seems to happen automatically. If you go to my YouTube page and go to live, they're listed there. So I don't actually do anything, they just appear. So it seems to be automatic. What else? What else? Oh, I picked up Gold Records Volume 4 cassette with the orange paper label. So that's another one crossed off the list. I've got all my cassettes now on the bottom shelf. As I said, there are other albums, but I bought them to make specific videos, so I won't show them. Something funny happened to me. I was looking at my copies of That's the Way It Is, when I realised I didn't have the original UK pressing. Now, of course, you see it many, many, many times. It's not at all rare. And I always thought I had it. So I had to buy one. So now I've got it. I don't know how that happened. I just assumed I had it. Andy, do you think the charity shops are getting expensive for LPs? I saw the Reader's Digest box set in the window. They wanted £75. It can go either way. They either think it's worth a fortune, or like with me finding that's the way it is in a charity shop, the music on vinyl. I'll tell you now, they had £20 on it. And I've seen it well over 100. So you can get lucky. We have a couple of charity shops that have records in. I go in them all the time. They tend to have the same records. But like with that's the way it is, you can get lucky. But yeah, I've seen the Reader's Digest box set on eBay, somebody asking £100 for it, which always makes me laugh because it's very easy to just put it in the search and see what people are selling it for. Ollie picked up Fun in Acapulco DVD the other week. Where does that rank amongst Elvis films? I like the soundtrack a lot. The film, it's middling. It's been a while since I've watched it. But I love the soundtrack. I did a video showing all my copies. I've bought some more since. But the film itself is okay. It's not great. Sean, I used to go to the Elvis conventions in Leicester. Did you ever attend? I didn't, no. We used to have them in Gloucester. The Gloucester branch was quite active, so I used to go to that one. But I joined the fan club in 1973. Still got my original membership card and badge. They are around here somewhere. Paul, I noticed the Reader's Digest Greatest Hits box set on the shelf. Is it the slim box version or the common thicker box? The one on the shelf is actually a beat up old copy that I got. Where did I get it? Can't remember. My original copy is up here. Let's see if I can. So a lot of my box sets are up there, including my original Reader's Digest, and I also have the cassette version. So these are the early albums, FTDs, 70s, Japanese singles, My Boy. I've got lots of My Boy singles. And there's Nipper. Oops. What's happened here? Do you have EPs from Portugal? I've got some albums from Portugal. I don't think I've got EPs. I don't think I do. I've got some albums, and I think I've got a couple of singles. Did they release a lot of EPs in Portugal? I know the Australians went mad. They were still releasing EPs well after we stopped in the UK. Paul, I want that Nipper. I got him on eBay. Oops. He's, I think he's metal. He was maybe done as he's quite heavy. For some reason, you can turn the handle. I think I paid £30 for him, which I thought was a bargain. Harold, can you show your CD case? have a go. I'm always a bit worried when I pick the camera up. Oh, for some reason, it's swiveling. Let's see if I can hold it like that. No, my cable isn't very long, unfortunately. There's FTDs and some Memphis recording. Now, they aren't in any particularly organised. I'm going to have to come up with some way of organising them. So that I can find things. Because every time I need a particular one, I have to go through them all. That, of course, is the world's first ever Elvis CDs. And the re-release, which wasn't supposed to happen. The people who produced the first were not happy at that. There's cassettes. There's some singles and EPs there. So, but there still are some CDs up there. So it's not organised. My bootlegs are up there. Oops. Let's see if I can get this back in here. Every now and then, people ask me about this poster. My favourite poster. Now, I actually had that made. I got the picture out of a book, scanned it at high resolution, enlarged it, and then sent it off to a printer. I did actually send a copy of the file to somebody that asked, and they had one printed up. I do like that. From the first time I saw that in a book, I thought, oh, that would make a great poster. So if anybody wants a copy of the file, you just send it to one of these online printers who do posters. I think it's fantastic. Elvis in Midair. Mal, did you collect the FTD Classic Album Collection? Don't have any of them. I know I should. But I didn't start buying them. And now, as always, they're expensive. I'll probably get around to picking them up at some point. But no, I didn't. I don't have one. They do look very nice. But again, if I start buying one, I'm going to want to buy them all. Harold, I just got the Memphis recording service, Such a Night. The original one. I got the reissue. I always wanted the original, but it was so expensive. But I've noticed the price has fallen since the re-release came out. I've seen it at a reasonable price, so I should pick one up. I used to have this poster here. It's on card. Fantastic. I used to have it on the wall. It fell down and the frame broke. So I'm going to have to get it reframed. Fantastic picture. So I will get that reframed. The only problem is I haven't got any space in this room big enough to hang it. Paul, has Nipper got Rogers Foundry Birmingham? I don't know. Let's have a look. It does indeed. Have you found one? Or are you an expert on Nipper statues? And your new book is coming out showing all the variations of Nipper statues. One of my early videos was about Nipper, how he came about. If you don't know the story, an artist Was he in Birmingham? I can't remember. No, Bristol, I think. An artist, his brother had a dog and he painted it. And that's the original Nipper painting. And HMV, who produced record players, 78 record players, I think he was the managing director, bought the painting and adopted it as a logo for HMV. So it's actually HMV in the UK that own the Nipper logo. And I explain how it came to be on American records, etc. in my video. So if you go back and look, well, no, I think was it my first ever video about the HMV releases in the UK. So again, for the new collectors who don't know, the original Elvis records released in the UK weren't released on the RCA label. RCA didn't have a pressing plant in England, in the UK. So they licensed HMV to release Elvis records in the UK. So all the early Elvis singles and first 3 albums are on the HMV label. Paul just bought one exact on eBay. Ah, there you go. And they've got several in stocks. If anybody wants one, get on eBay. John, hello. 4:30 in the morning. You got up specially. Do you keep records and CDs of Bob Dylan? I do, and they are in this room. Unfortunately, my camera won't reach. So my Bob Dylan collection is here. This is full of CDs. I've got all the bootleg series sets, got them all. I do have some vinyl, that's not here, but all my CDs are here. This space here is just full of CDs stacked up. So that's my Bob Dylan collection. I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. I love words. His lyrics are just fantastic, amazing. Best songwriter ever, I think. 4:30, I hope we didn't get up specially. Although I once got up in the early hours of the morning for Mark and David's live stream. Paul, when I say just, I mean 2 minutes ago. So they're still live. You can still buy them. Get on there and get one if you want one. Should I say this live stream was brought to you by Rogers of Birmingham, Nipper. Ollie, do you have Dylan's Christmas album? That's the only album of Bob Dylan's that I didn't buy. I do wonder if he did it as a joke. No, I didn't buy it. I couldn't bring myself to buy it. I suppose I should have a copy of it. I would never play it. I thought it was hysterically funny. What was the single? Oh, I've forgotten what the single was. It was... Were they drunk? Harold, you'll have to do a show of your Bob Dylan collection. I tried to keep this just Elvis. We'll see. I also have a collection of Led Zeppelin, Bruce Springsteen, Tori Amos lyrics. She's a fantastic songwriter and a great musician. I have a lot of promos and early stuff of hers, including her first album and singles, which are quite rare. And they're the, if you know, they're the Why Can't Tori Read? If you don't know what that means, you can look it up. Carl, hello. How many Elvis albums do you have? Now that's a question. My wife asked me that recently. I do have a list, but I've been very bad at keeping it up to date. The last time I counted, I actually counted everything. So albums, CDs and singles and EPs. And I was approaching 2,000. But I am going to have to check my list and come up with a definitive figure. So I can't really say at the moment, but it's a lot. Some would say too many. My wife says too many. Paul, entertainment feature yesterday stated the Dylan film. I saw that Dylan film. Yeah, that looks interesting. And they've asked Austin Butler to play Elvis. Yeah, they never met. So I mean, it would be nice, but they didn't meet, so they shouldn't do it. I don't like taking liberties with facts when it's a living person. I had to take a few deep breaths during the Elvis film, which I really enjoyed, but I'll be very interested to see the Dylan film. I actually did a video about Elvis and Dylan. I don't know if you all saw it. On the connections, there's quite a few connections. And of course, Dylan was a huge Elvis fan, still is. Harold, Bob did the Christmas album for the hungry. All the money goes for the hungry, right? That makes sense. He was trying to help them by making them lose their appetite when they listened to it. I actually like Dylan's voice. He uses it as an instrument, but that did sound awful. Danny, massive Zeppelin fan. Met Mr. Plant. Wow. Yeah, I love Led Zeppelin. I saw Page and Plant when they were performing together a few years back. Harold, do you like Bob's first album? I do. Yep. There aren't many Dylan albums that I don't listen to. Some of them are difficult, like Knocked Out Loaded. But I do like the first album. Yeah. It's not amongst his best, but as a first album, it's a good introduction. But Dylan for a collector is just fantastic. If only Elvis had recorded as many unreleased songs as Dylan did. If you don't know about Dylan's unreleased material, look up the Bootleg series. Mind-blowing. And fantastic songs that he wrote and recorded and just didn't bother releasing. Lila, hello. Do you think Elvis should have been asked to do a Bond theme? Yeah, he should have. Why not? I always think the Charo has got a bit of a Bond vibe to it. What tune by Elvis would make a great Bond theme? Or if you could adapt Charo in some way. Edge of Reality also, it would need work on it, but of course they would write a special song. But yeah, I think he would have done a really good Bond theme. Let's face it, any challenge Elvis was given in his life, he more than surpassed. That's what he was missing, was a challenge, I think, when he got into routines of filmmaking, of touring. But any time they put a challenge in front of him, John, you set your alarm. Oh, you're joking. I spent 17 years doing shift work. And so my normal morning is waking up anywhere from 3:30, 4:30. That's my normal pattern. Never broke it, but I like it. I like being up early. I like getting an early start to the day. Christopher, hello. Liked your cassette video. Thank you. Is your 68 comeback cassette an Italian copy? 68. No, I think I've got a UK one, haven't I? I can't remember. I buy these things and after I've bought them, I forget. Let's have a look. Maybe it is the Italian one. Yep, you're right. It's the Italian one. I'm sure there's a UK one. I shall have to look into that. Yeah, of course, it's got the green little stamp on the edge. So it is the Italian one. But I'm sure there's a UK one. Some of them are very hard to find, the UK ones. Yeah, thanks for that. Mark, better late than never. Danny, we had it all, Elvis. We had it all, Elvis. So, yes, you and me, we had it all. Yes. Is it David Briggs? Said in an interview that Elvis recorded several takes of We Had It All, but wasn't happy with the song and told them not to release it. Now, the story is, when he went out, he said, don't release that until 50 years after I'm dead. But it doesn't show up on any session logs. And if it exists, then what happened to it? Ollie, did Elvis do any Dylan covers? Now, if you look up my video on my YouTube page, I did a video about Elvis and Dylan, and it goes through all of Elvis did some Dylan songs, and Dylan's done quite a few Elvis songs. Yes, Elvis did Tomorrow's a Long Time. Absolutely fantastic performance. And of course, Dylan said that of all the covers of his songs, that's the one he treasures the most. Dylan is a huge Elvis fan. He did a few lines of I Shall Be Released in the studio, which would have been a really interesting version. And there's a home recording of him doing Blowing in the Wind, if I remember rightly. But Tomorrow is a Long Time is superb. Lila, under your medical supervision, did you chat to any Elvis fans while having treatment with any medical staff? They didn't know. I was too busy being ill. I'd felt terrible when I was in hospital. They were fantastic. But I was just completely... A heart attack just completely wipes you out. And I went into hospital in the ambulance in just what I was wearing. Woke up 3 o'clock in the morning. So my wife had to come in with a few bits and pieces, but no, they didn't know. George, Music for All, say hello. Yes, Don't Think Twice as well. That's the other one I couldn't think. Don't Think Twice. It's All Right is the other Dylan song that Elvis covered. Elvis apparently wanted to do a folk album at the time. There's several of the songs that he did in those sessions were for a folk album that he intended to do, like Early Morning Rain. But it never materialised. Christopher, there is a UK cassette release listed in the catalogue. An Italian series. Ah, interesting. Right. So they might have been Italian imports. That's interesting. Because, of course, around that time, they also imported some American pressed albums into the UK. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to look into that. Danny, one concert Elvis once said, "Give me some water." Yeah, feels like Bob Dylan slept in it. Yeah, I remember that. Dylan, of course, saw Elvis perform at Madison Square Gardens and was due to go and meet him. And when George Harrison met Elvis after the Madison Square Gardens concert, they talked about doing a studio session together, and Dylan was invited. So there was a plan for Dylan, George Harrison, and Bob Dylan to go into the studio, but of course it never happened. That would have been interesting. Apparently Dylan was a bit wary about going into the studio with Elvis because he was in awe of him. Lila, I waved a fiver under a busker's nose as she sang Make You Feel My Love and said, can you name who originally sang it? And she said, Adele. Yes. Everyone thinks Adele wrote Make You Feel My Love. Of course, Dylan wrote it and recorded it first. Yeah. Danny, Parker probably didn't want it. Parker didn't want most things that Elvis would have enjoyed. Elvis should have stood up for himself more. Every time he did, it worked out fantastically well. Parker should have trusted him, stayed out of the music, just concentrated on the business side of things. Yeah. There are so many Dylan songs that he wrote that people think other people wrote because they had hits with them. Christopher, love seeing a vast collection behind you. Nice OCD makes me want to organise it. I need somebody to organise it. I've been saying earlier, if you're watching, I can never find anything. I did try to have my albums sort of organised, but of course it goes wrong. My CDs are totally unorganised. I can't find what I'm looking for. I stand there trying to go through them. I can't think how to do it though. I tried to have all the film soundtracks here, all the 70s stuff there, all the live stuff up there, but it doesn't seem to work. And chronologically as well. But Harold, Dylan was very upset when Elvis passed away. Yep, if you watch my video, he broke down and he didn't speak to anyone for days. Harold, To Make You Feel My Love was also sung by Garth Brooks. I think a lot of people have covered it now. Somebody did a video about the song and how many people have covered it. I seem to remember watching. Lila, what are your thoughts on Elvis picture discs? I like the first picture discs, but then it became a let's just stick a picture on it. Up there's a whole load of Danish released picture discs. But there are some nice ones. The UK ones are pretty good. The official ones. There are of course some very rare test pressing picture discs that RCA did, but they probably only exist as 1 or 2 copies. They fetch a lot of money. You'll find pictures of them online. So they were doing experiments, I think, in the mid-70s with picture discs and coloured vinyl. There are some very rare RCA test pressings, which we'll never see. I mean, they fetch vast amounts of money. But I think you can find pictures of them online. They do say that the pictures just don't sound as good. I also haven't had a record player in years. I couldn't tell you. Christopher, have you accidentally bought something twice? I do it a lot. I nearly did it today. I saw That's the Way It Is music on. No, not That's the Way It Is. Aloha from Hawaii, music on vinyl, being offered for £100. And my hand hovered over the buy it now. And I was about to press and I thought, have I got that? And I did. But I do have some albums down here, which I've bought, got home and found I already had them. Yes, I've done that quite a few times. Sean, First Aid Kit do a great version of It Ain't Me Babe. First Aid Kit, I've never heard of them. I'll look them up. John, Beat Up Records, do you happen to have any super rare releases? The New Zealand EP, I don't have that. See the USA, the Elvis Way. One came up for sale on eBay not too long ago. I watched it climbing into the hundreds and I stopped watching it because I wanted to cry. No, I don't have that. I would like that. And I would like the New Zealand Elvis Christmas album with the church on the cover. I think that's fantastic. But very rare. Super rare. Again, I can't think. Super rare. Don't know what you class as super rare. Super rare. I suppose the most limited one I've got is that music on vinyl of his first album, where they only pressed 363 on pink vinyl. Can't think. What you class as super rare? Where did I get to? Dale, hello. What is your favourite live 70s collection? Live 70s collection. I'm not sure. Collection. What collections of live 70s have I got? I'm not sure. I have to think about that. Lila, thoughts on the Separate Ways album cover where Elvis is 30 foot over a highway? Is it the worst? It's not the worst. It is bizarre. The American one, he's just on the highway. The UK one, there are cars on the road, which is even stranger. It is a strange cover. I can see what they're getting at, but there are worse. I think my favourite worst, the funniest one, is the Christmas CD. Don't know if you saw it. Let's see if I can spot it. I think all my Christmas CDs are in this corner. Some of you may remember it because it's so awful. Let's see if I can find it. It's worth looking at because it's so bad. I remember somebody commenting that it was so awful that they were going to go and buy it on eBay. Where is it? See, this is the problem. I'm looking for... There it is. Some of you may remember it. It's so awful that I had to buy it. Christmas with Elvis. Who on earth thought that that was good? Or were they going for really naff? They put a lot of thought into it, obviously. But, of course, RCA on the Aloha from Hawaii American release did a similar thing. They photoshopped, or whatever it was called back then, Elvis amongst a group of Hawaiian women. But that is just terrible. If anybody knows a worse cover than that, I'd like to know. Ollie Stylish. You can probably get it on eBay. Rush over and buy it. It is worth buying because it's so bad. You just have to have it. March Eye Blues was a very rare picture disc. Yeah, and the originals, yeah. Paul, I've tried to organise my 700 Elvis LPs by country of release, label name, Camden Gospel, etc. always fail. Yeah, I have the same problem. No matter how you try to arrange it, it doesn't seem to work. Sean, two sisters from Sweden. All right, the first aid kit. I'll look them up. I was looking for some CDs recently. I came across a Swedish CD. I should have copied a picture of it. And it's some Swedish, I assume he was a pop star, and it's him singing Elvis songs, and the cover, his haircut just made me laugh. I don't mean any insult to him. I'm sure he's a very good singer, but it looks so... I'll take a copy of the cover and put it on my YouTube, on the community page. It just made me laugh. I thought, if I ever see that, I'm going to buy it. Where have I got to? Dale, all box sets. I love Elvis 70s and live. There are a million releases. This one just... right, so 70s live. Oh, there's so much good stuff. I always find it difficult when somebody say, you know, what's your favourite? Because I can't leave stuff out. I find it very difficult to pick. There are so many good box sets. Christopher, what was it like being a UK fan in the 70s? Do you have much contact with other fans? Yeah, I was a member of the fan club, and Gloucester, which isn't far from Cheltenham, had a very active branch run by a husband and wife whose name escapes me now. And they would have get-togethers. And of course, I went with the fan club to Memphis in 84. I think it was 84. When Graceland was a very different experience. I'm glad I went then, because it did feel like Elvis's home. Like, you know, he'd just left. The cars were parked in the back of the house. Rising Sun was in the stables. Of course, I'd like to go again, but I think I'd be disappointed. It now looks like a very sterile museum and theme park sort of feel to it, is what I get from seeing videos. Yeah, there was a very active circle swapping cassettes of unreleased stuff. There was the Elvis Monthly magazine, of course. I'm losing where I was. Have you read the new book Elvis and the Colonel by Greg MacDonald? No, I haven't. No, I haven't bought any just straight up books for a while. Destined to Die Young was the last one I bought. And if you haven't read that, I would recommend reading it. It makes sense of a lot of things in Elvis's life. So if any of you read Destined to Die Young, what did you think? It's not always an easy book to read. She goes into a lot of medical details, and but what fantastically well researched, and what she's found, things make sense that you couldn't understand about the way Elvis lived. Paul, for a second I thought you were going to nominate the Elvis Christmas album with Elvis wearing a red nose. I haven't bought that. I always buy the Christmas albums, but I just couldn't bring myself to buy that. So little thought has been put into that. Let's get a picture of Elvis and put a red nose on him. So I have resisted buying it. It's bad. I don't mind bad if, you know, if it's really naff, but that's just, I don't know. Lionel, all of Elvis covers seem to be hurried. Yeah, RCA were terrible. Especially in the 70s. Just a live shot, and not a particularly good live shot. When you look at FTD, what they could have been, I even think it would have made a difference to how Elvis's albums were perceived by the general public, because they just look naff. Danny, the artist always wears the white hat. The artist always wears the white hat. I'm lost now. What does that relate to? Lila, I think I just listened to Elvis live material and now just hear the different phrasings. Hate the hurried version of Pog Solid Annie though. Yeah, it was difficult. You had to keep performing the same songs. He must have got bored. You can't blame him. But it's the problem, isn't it, that at every show there'll be a lot of people that's the only time they're going to see him, and they're going to want to see him perform the famous songs, because there'll be a lot of people in there who aren't diehard fans. They like his music, they've heard it on the radio, they've got some records, they want to hear all the big hits. It must have been mind-numbingly boring. Paul, looking back on the Garth Brooks comment, I believe he broke Elvis's attendance record at Las Vegas Hilton. Oh, Barry Manilow, yes. But how long did it take Barry Manilow to break Elvis? Elvis only performed in Vegas for what, 6 years? It's taken Barry Manilow, I don't know, what is it, 20 years to break Elvis's attendance record. You can't really call that breaking Elvis's attendance record. Elvis only performed there for 6 years. I think I'd be embarrassed if I was Barry Manilow. I wouldn't celebrate. If you keep turning up every year, eventually you'll do enough years. Lila, I'm sure there's a segment in the movie, that's the way it is, where UK fans are interviewed. Has that been taken out of the new version? I can't remember. I actually haven't watched That's the Way It Is, the original version, for a long time, because I like the redone version with all the extra songs. I generally cringe when the fans are interviewed. It's like Elvis in Concert, the 1977 double album. I wish they hadn't put the comments in. I don't really see the point of them. Danny, got that. Steve got it signed as well by Sally, and she did another book called Elvis Destined to Fly. All right. Destined to Fly. I've not seen that. Paul, I agree with Steve on the Graceland experience. I went in '88. Yeah, I think people who couldn't go early on, they've missed out. I got to pat Rising Sun and take a picture of him. And I liked how they did it, the display of gold and platinum records back then, when you walked along the corridor, where both walls were just lined top to bottom, and then you came into the hall and it was just everywhere. There seem to be fewer discs on display now, from what I've seen. Danny, that's what Colonel said. Artist always wears the white hat. All right, I don't recall that. Gregory, hello. What do you think of Elvis movie in 22 or the Kurt Russell? I enjoyed the recent one a lot more than I thought I would. I think he did really well. Oh, that's a reminder to take my 9 o'clock pill. Done. Turn it off or it'll keep reminding me. Yeah, I enjoyed the Austin Butler film. He did a fantastic job. When I went to see it, I was a bit worried that I don't think they could have done any better. I think probably that's the best one we're going to get. It's got a lot of problems, of course, but the Kurt Russell film, at the time, I enjoyed it. Not watched it for a long time. There were, I'm trying to think back now. Elvis came across as too sullen, from what I remember. That was also the case in the recent film. It just didn't feature his sense of humour, his enjoyment of life. I haven't seen the Kurt Russell one for a long time. Andy, I read for Elvis Week, Graceland are charging $12.50 for Linda Thompson showing fans around. Yeah, Elvis kept the tickets to his concerts very cheap. If you look, you actually paid very reasonable prices to see Elvis. But now it just seems the people running it now aren't Elvis fans, don't, you know, making money is their number one. Of course you have to make money, but it seems to be all and end all now, which Elvis wouldn't have been pleased at. Harold, do you have Elvis Christmas album Hallmark CD? You see, when you say things like that to me, my mind scrambles. I'm trying to picture it. I've got a lot of Elvis Christmas CDs, a lot of them. So I may have, but I can't remember. Which one is it? Hallmark CD. What's on the cover? Christopher, if you could, which year would you have preferred to see Elvis live? I hate questions like that. If I could watch one show, it would have to be 31st of July 1969. Now, I know that's a very different show. Elvis's concerts changed over the years. But if I had a time machine with one trip, that would be what I would want to see. Lila, has Priscilla movie disappeared without a trace? I hope so. I did watch it. I watched it on a streaming channel that's run by pirates. I didn't pay to watch it. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. So I don't think it did any serious harm, but hopefully it'll just disappear now without a trace. Sean, we Brits don't come off very well in That's the Way It Is. Yeah, I can't remember now. I shall have to get the original version out and watch it, because I just don't remember. I don't like it when they interview fans. I don't blame the fans. If they stuck a camera on me, I'd probably say something daft. Think like, oh my God, why did I say that? Paul, great comment on Manilow. I've got nothing against Barry Manilow. He doesn't do anything for me. But, yeah, it's like when they said, is it Taylor Swift has had more number ones in America? That's crap. This whole thing about Elvis's American number ones is crap. The figures were deliberately manipulated. If you look at Billboard, they say Elvis only had 6 number ones in America. They took the decision a few years ago to only count number ones from a date in 1958. So according to them, Heartbreak Hotel wasn't a number one hit for Elvis in America. And they did that. I read somebody wrote a piece about this. The head of Billboard at the time was a huge Beatles fan, and it annoyed him that Elvis had more number ones. Now, whether this is true or not, I don't know. But they did take the decision to eliminate all the number ones before a certain date in 1958. So there you go. Lila, knowing what we know now and with the medical treatment you have recently received, do you think Elvis with today's medical technology could have been saved? Could he have been saved on the day? No, he was dead when they found him, and he'd been dead for quite a while. I think they would have identified the problems earlier, and he could have been treated. So yeah, I think today he probably would still be alive. But not because they would have saved him on the day, but because they would have identified the problems earlier. If you read Destined to Die Young, it's very graphic about, what happened. It's very hard to read, but he was dead. I remember when they said they were trying to revive him, one of the paramedics said, "Why, he's dead. There's just no chance of bringing him back. He's gone." But it was Elvis, so they had to try. It's a very difficult part of the book to read, but it's a book worth reading. Harold, Elvis is wearing a yellow suit on it. Do you have Elvis's yellow suit? I'm going to have to look it up because it doesn't ring any bells. I think I've got about 30 Christmas CDs. I tend to buy anything except the Red Nose album. I'll have to look that up because I can't remember. Danny, 50s is my favourite era. The 50s is my favourite era, and the 60s and the 70s. I can't pick. Poor Linda's not making a dime. I can believe that. Linda always comes across as a very genuine person who really cared about Elvis. I'm always impressed when I hear her speak. It's a shame they couldn't stay together. But the fact that she left says a lot about her. Danny, I like the fans on the 77 special. Yeah, I really don't like those comments. I wish they hadn't put them in. I always cringe. I find it hard to listen to the Elvis in Concert album. He's in great voice, but there's just so much sadness connected to it that I find it very hard to listen to. Paul, it's big business. It certainly is, sadly. Harold, the Kurt Russell movie was directed by John Carpenter. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? And Elvis played John Carpenter. Yeah, apparently he used John Carpenter when he wanted to go about incognito. He actually used the name Dr. John Carpenter. Paul, I Would Be Vegas, August 70. Yeah, On Stage is a fantastic album. That's the way it is. It's superb. As I said, Elvis's concerts are different over the years. So really, I'd want to see him once for every year. And of course, Vegas is different to the tours. Adrian, hello. You just finished work. I'm doing a lot better, thanks. You could say I'm 75% well. They identified problem with 4 arteries. They fixed 2 when I had my heart attack. They did another one a bit later, and they're looking at the last one. All the pressure's on the last one now, which is why I've suffered a bit. But I can't complain. There are a lot of people who are far worse condition than me, have to deal with a lot worse things than me. Christopher, do you agree with the way FTD has been releasing expensive book box sets? No, I don't. When FTD started, they were single discs, they were affordable. All right, now and then do a special, but now it's all these multi-disc live 50 quid sets. I've just stayed away from them. The books and box sets are nice. They can justify them. They are nice, but they're too expensive. I've bought a couple of them because I had a particular interest. But no, I think they've lost their way a bit. In a way, I can understand it, because they were putting things out cheap, and then a few years later they were fetching vast amounts of money. I think they've lost their way. They should go back to single discs at a reasonable price and do multi-discs occasionally. Harold, they didn't give Elvis credit for most of his gold and platinum records till 1992. That's true. But I think that's RCA's fault. Apparently RCA were very poor at putting in certified amounts, which is why I think even now Elvis's record sales are astronomical, but I think they're underestimated. If you go on Discogs, look at various artists and see how many versions of an album has been released, and look at Elvis's albums. They've been re-released all around the world continually. They will not re-release albums if they're not selling. And these multiple releases in different formats has diluted Elvis's record sales. So you'll see an album and it'll say it sold 1 million, when in fact it's sold multiple millions, but in different formats, different versions. It's like the Gold Standard series singles. Only Elvis, his entire singles catalogue, was kept continually pressed. Why? Because there was a demand. Ollie, have you ever dressed up as Elvis? No. No, that would be too embarrassing. Only Elvis can dress like Elvis. I think he was the ultimate fashion model, because no matter what you put on him, it looked cool. Jumpsuits on most people look horrendous. You look at some of the outfits he wore. If you look at Sean Shaver's book, which I've got up there, the one with the leathery cover, he was an absolute, the ultimate fashion model. I wouldn't dare to try and dress like him. Paul says hello to Adrian, if you haven't spotted it. Love your channel. Yeah, Adrian's got a really good channel. He shows lots of CDs, really interesting ones. Danny, the intro to Unchained Melody, the dialogue before, how you like it so far? The stuttering shadow Paulie was, yeah. Yeah, apparently he was very up and down. Like one day he could look really ill and overweight. Well, not overweight, he was bloated. This is what can't seem to get across to people. If you look at pictures of him, sometimes he looks a lot slimmer. But what to me shows that he wasn't fat, he was bloated, is look at him from the waist down and he looks perfectly slim. There's no chunky legs, no big ass. It's all from the stomach up, bloated. It's not fat. Lylan, suspicious minds lyric, so with an old friend, shove it up your nose. Are they singing about what we think they're singing? I don't think so. I didn't get that impression. I think it was a jokey lyric. I don't know, of course, but I never got the impression that he was talking about that. Beat Up Records, John. The early Elvis FTDs had beautiful inner sleeves inside as well. They did, the albums, yeah. If you haven't seen them, the early FTD albums, the inner sleeves had artwork on. Now they're just plain. Bristol, I'd like to see an Elvis 77 video release, even if it was a documentary surrounding the shows. The estate don't want any release of it. I agree, I think it's time to do a proper release. I would do 2 versions. I would do the complete, everything they've got for the fans. For the general public, select those performances where he looks good. Can't remember which show it is, because there's selections from, I think, 2 shows. The one show he looks bright, he looks healthier. The other one, just a bad, not a bad show vocally, but a bad show visually. Harold, RCA needs to do another update. On record sales, do you mean? They do tend, I noticed, on Elvis's birthday event, they have in the past announced new platinum discs. Danny, has your Sean Saver book signed? I can't remember. I don't think so, but it might be. I can't remember. Paul, Ginger Alden in the UK in May. A lot of time for I might go and see. I saw that she was around, but she's nowhere near Cheltenham, unfortunately. Not down this part of the world. I've heard her being interviewed, and she only had good things to say about Elvis. She seems like a very classy lady. Lily, you never seem to chat about Beatles, Tom Jones, Igor Humperdinck, or Sinatra. Not a fan of them. They are massive artists. Nothing against them as artists. The Beatles just never did anything for me. And obviously they're huge, one of the biggest bands ever. But they just never. I've tried listening to their music. They just never did anything for me. Tom Jones, great singer, but Elvis is better. Engelbert Humperdinck, great singer, but Elvis is better. Sinatra, again, great singer, just never caught my imagination. Harold, the Osmonds wore jumpsuits. They did, and I don't know if you've heard the story. Donny Osmond's told it in interviews. They wore them because of Elvis. Elvis met them, and he said, "You need to." What was it? You need to be more macho. And so he got his designer to design some jumpsuits for them. So that was Elvis's fault. Danny was all water and twisted colon. Yep. As I said, you need to read that book if you haven't read it. Destined to Die Young. Paul, I've said before, Elvis's achievements are never acknowledged. No, they used to be. When he was alive, there was a lot of respect for Elvis. But in the 80s, something happened. And now the serious music press just don't want to know. There are a few exceptions, of course, but no, they seem to be doing everything they can to reduce his achievement. Alexander, hello. Yes, I'm still alive. John, to whom or where would you like your Elvis record and CD collection to go? When I pop my clogs? Who wants it? This is actually a problem because my wife has zero interest and doesn't know anything about it. And I think if somebody come in and said, "Oh, I'll give you £1,000 for that collection," she'd probably say yes. So at some point, I'm going to have to make a list of what's valuable, because then she'll be very interested if I tell her there's quite a bit of money wrapped up in this collection. I don't have anybody in my family. I don't have any kids. I didn't get married till I was 50. Don't have any kids. There are a few Elvis fans amongst nephews and nieces and that, but no, it would get sold, which is a shame, but there you go. Lila, the Elvis Archie London exhibit was great. Don't know what this new hologram experience will be like. Yeah, as we said earlier, I hope to be able to go now. They've extended it until September. At the moment, I can't do any travelling that involves a lot of walking. A hologram is hard to imagine because, of course, it's not going to be a concert. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see, but why don't they just do a concert? Christopher, who did you meet in Memphis? I personally met Charlie Hodge. I got him to sign his book. DJ Fontana, Carl Perkins. Who else? Sam Phillips, I think, was at Sun Studios when we went there, but I didn't get to speak to him. Colonel Parker. Colonel Parker. He sat and stamped autographs. He didn't sign autographs. He stamped. And to get it, you had to buy a little package. I've still got it with his stamp on. A little package with a booklet in and that. I stood in front of him while he stamped my booklet. No, he stamped the envelope that the booklet was in. Harold Elvis is better than everybody. He is. Yep. Lila. Harold Evil Knievel. Adrian, maybe one day. Gina, hello. Australia's waking up. John's been awake since 4:30. You're late. Alexander, do you have any idea how many Elvis CDs, LPs, and other formats you've got? We're talking about this earlier. I know it was approaching 2000, so it must be well past 2000 now because I've been on a buying spree. I did start making lists, but I'm very poor at keeping them up to date, so I think I'm going to have to go back to the square one and recatalogue everything. Christopher, did you go to the O2 exhibition? I didn't, no. Can't remember why not. 2015, what was I doing? Can't remember, but I didn't. I'm not keen on travelling to London. I try to avoid it. Lila, watching a documentary about Andrew Lloyd Webber. He mentioned writing a song for Elvis. Yeah, I remember him talking about it. He sent it off and they didn't hear anything, and he didn't know that Elvis had actually recorded it. It's Easy for You, good song. I do like it. It does sound very theatrical, like it comes from a musical. It's got that sound to it. A thought popped into my head then, and now it's popped back out. I thought I must mention, and now I can't think what it was. Nope. It might pop back in again. I remember. Apparently, there's a new Elvis documentary. The Elvis News website. Somebody whose name now escapes me has said that they were being interviewed for a new Netflix Elvis documentary. Now, whether this is confirmed or not, I don't know, but that's what they said. I don't know if anybody knows anything about it. Paul, your live chats are now legendary. They certainly, I certainly go on longer than most people's, I think. Where are we now? 2 hours, 24 minutes. I just enjoy doing it. I could talk forever about Elvis. You always miss the last bus. Danny, was it true about the Lisa Marie plane trip where the plane was full of food just for Elvis and the Mafia? It was just the hamburger story. This is one of these things where I've heard from somebody once, oh, Elvis was always flying off to buy hamburgers. It happened once, and I think it was Lisa's birthday, if I remember rightly. And it was a special trip. But again, they exaggerate these things. A while back, I watched Elvis's pilot being interviewed. And again, nothing but praise for Elvis. And he said Elvis would always come to the cockpit and thank them at the end of the flight. Was always very polite, very professional. You know, you hear a lot of stories about these big stars who are prima donnas and throw tantrums. You never got that from Elvis. He was always polite, friendly, funny, would laugh at himself. Harold, what is your favourite Elvis CD? Don't ask me this. I'm going to have to ban asking what is your favourite Elvis. Can't answer it. Feels like you're being disloyal to all the other CDs. I once tried to work out what's my top 10 favourite Elvis songs or favourite Elvis album. I couldn't do it. I think I narrowed my favourite Elvis song down to about 500, and I couldn't cross any off the list. Paul, Darlene Love, Priscilla. Right, that's it. Yeah, Darlene Love. Thanks, Paul. Darlene Love, who was one of the Blossoms backing singers on the 68 special. She has said that she's been contacted to do an interview for a documentary on Elvis that Netflix are making. Thanks. It was in there, just wouldn't come out. Lila, isn't that documentary The Searcher? No, that's already been made and released. This is a new one. Christopher, at the O2 exhibition in 2015, I was the last person in there at the end of the evening. Still regret not reaching over and strumming his acoustic guitar. It wasn't in a case. Wow. You could have strummed Elvis's guitar. I'll tell you a little story. Not about Elvis, but it's about something like that. As some of you may know, I do a lot of work with the military. And I was talking to somebody who had done some work at the palace. And in the throne room, nobody's allowed to sit on the throne except the monarch and him one evening. I won't name names. I couldn't have resisted if I was in there alone. You'd have to, wouldn't you? You'd have to. Lila, are you allowed to eat Elvis' favourite sandwich, peanut butter and bacon? No, anything that tastes good that I used to love, I can't eat. Bacon, I really miss bacon. I love bacon. I can't eat bacon. They said you can have a fried breakfast on your birthday every year. Oh dear. Fried peanut butter, fried peanut butter and bananas. I never actually tried them. Never been a huge fan of peanut butter. I like peanuts. Christopher, I assume it was Elvis's guitar, which was only behind a barrier. Yeah. You would hope it was the real thing. Sean, Ready Teddy TV performance has to be top of some list. Those early TV performances are fantastic. Shame they couldn't film have them in better quality. But yeah, it's just raw. I try to imagine what it must have been like back then to have been a mature, concerned, conservative adult to see Elvis. I said once it must have been like an alien landing and come to take your children away. That's why one album cover that I can say is my favorite, and I've said this before, is HMV #2, the yellow, with him looking like an alien with what looks like makeup on his eyelids. Is it velvet or satin looking shirt, and he's sat there looking he does look like an alien, like he's just landed. I had a look at other album covers from 1956, and it just looks so bizarrely different. So that is a definite favourite of mine. If you don't know it, look it up. Elvis' second album in the UK, HMV. They called it Rock and Roll Number 2, if I remember rightly, is its title. I've got it up there somewhere. I just love that cover. Whoever did Elvis's album covers for HMV. It's like the Love Me Tender EP. I prefer the HMV cover to the American one. Paul, if you wanted a companion to attend the Archers, I don't mind only living in Shropshire. All right. Once I'm well, I'll in fact, what I'll do, once I'm well enough to plan, I will put it on my community page when I intend to be there. And if anybody else coincidentally happens to be there, we can meet up. 16th of May, I've got my appointment with the cardiologist. Well, they'll decide what they're going to do. So it could range from adjusting medication to keep it under control, to stents, to a heart bypass. We'll see. I hope it's not a heart bypass, because obviously that'll take a lot longer to get over. It'd be nice to meet up. I had a what's it called? FaceTime conversation with Mal not too long ago. It's funny, you come on here just to talk and do whatever, and I thought, will anybody actually be interested to watch? And you end up making friends. Lila, have you ever played or do you own the Elvis movie soundtrack? I didn't buy it. No. For me, the weakest parts of the film were the non-Elvis parts. Messing about with his songs, I didn't mind too much for the movie, but I don't want to listen to them. And the new songs by other artists, I really couldn't see the point. I know some people might say it was to interest young people who aren't Elvis fans, but if they're not Elvis fans, they're not going to see the film. I didn't like that song, Doja Cat, was that her name? Her song. When you listen, if you read the lyrics, I actually found them a bit insulting to Elvis. Maybe that's just me. Harold, I wish they could have recorded more of Elvis's 50s concerts. Film them. Oh. Now, wasn't there was something's in the back of my head that there was a proposal to feature an Elvis concert in an actual film. Does anybody remember this? It never came about. But we have been lucky with some of the early footage that's been found. That first colour footage is amazing that somebody just had. Sean, didn't Natalie Wood buy him the shirt he's wearing on Rock and Roll Number 2? I don't know. That'd be interesting to find out. I don't know, Sean, but I shall look that up. Lila, I bought the soundtrack for my brother, Massive Elvis fan. He put it in the bin. Oh, I wouldn't have put it in the bin, but I would never have played it. I would have hidden it behind some other stuff. Did you like it, the soundtrack? Krista, has YouTube fame changed you? I know about that. This belt I've got. Oh. There's my belt. Not very impressive. what do they call them? YouTube influencers. What am I influencing? Well, hopefully I'm influencing people to buy more Elvis records and CDs. That's a good aim in life. I can't say I take vitamin E. I take lots of pills. Paul, one of my great Elvis stories. I worked on the rebuild of 525 Perugia Way in Bel Air. Wow. Worked on it for 14 months. Did you take a bit? Have you got a bit of brick at home? I would have taken a brick or something. So how much of it is original then? What's been replaced? Lila, remember the days when on a bank holiday Elvis movies were on TV? Yes. And August school holidays. Yes, the Elvis season. I remember those. Sometimes 2 films each morning. And what I do remember is my brothers and sisters, they're not Elvis fans, they like him, but they would sit and watch because they were entertaining. Paul, maybe the Pied Piper rumoured footage will turn up one day. That might be what I was thinking of. That rings a bell now. Yes, I think that's it. Hopefully there are these canisters there. Like Baz said about the that's the way it is in on tour footage. There is so much of it. And it was stored. And we're going to get to see some of it. Andy, do you have the Elvis Worldwide gold hits with the swatch of clothing included? I don't. I've got it without. I've seen it being sold with, and I've hovered over the buy button several times. But what I do have, and it surprised me because I didn't expect it. Elvis the Other Side's compact disc. So I bought this. Can't remember where I saw it for sale. So I bought it and was very surprised when it arrived that was in there. I wasn't expecting that. Anybody else got this? Not mentioned on the box. Has anybody else got this? And was it in? Did they also have one in there? But I do need to get the album, the vinyl set with that, with all the bits inside. Sean, Elvis belt Jonas. Lila, do you listen to Elvis on Spotify? Occasionally I do. But I carry my iPad near I go, and I've got pretty much everything on there, studio wise. But I have used Spotify if I'm out and about. Danny, did Elvis really know how big of a star he was? No, I don't think so. No, I don't think he did. I've seen several people say that he would say that people didn't really know who he was. They knew Elvis, but they didn't know the person. Trevor, hello. Hi, Steve. Got that album Rock and Roll No. 2 from the local tip shop for next to nothing. Wow. It's hard to find in really good condition. because the paper they use for the cover is quite flimsy. Danny, I got the LPs with the clothing, not the CDs. Yeah, I have to get the LPs still. It's funny, when I remember when I was quite young, and I got a magazine with Elvis's releases in it, and I saw the picture of the box. I thought that the thing on the outside was the little envelope with the material inside it. Of course, it isn't. That's a sticker. I didn't realise that until I actually saw one. Paul, same envelope in my set, right? Some people did doubt that it was real, those swatches, but there is I saw on YouTube, there's an interview with an RCA official who was sent to Graceland to pick up the box of clothing. I'm trying to remember, I think Vernon was asked to put clothing and things in a box for them to take away and cut up. And when he took the box back, it's worth finding this interview, when he took the box back, in there was the white If I Can Dream suit, and he recognised it, and he said, no, we're not cutting this up, send it back. It's a good job he recognised it. Lila, I've always introduced people to the likes of Heart of Rome, It's Midnight, 20 Days, it's deep cut Elvis instead of usual hits. Yes, there's a lot of fantastic songs that the general public are not aware of. I once played from Elvis in Memphis for somebody, and they were just totally blown away by it. I've always think I'm Leaving is a fantastic song. I used to have the radio on when they did the charts, and there was a chart show, and they were doing charts from previous years, and I can't think who the disc jockey was. He played I'm Leaving, and he said it only made, I don't know, 22 in the charts, he said, but that didn't matter. Everybody knew that Elvis was the governor. And I thought, yeah, it was almost too good for the charts, that song. Elvis took a lot of care in recording it, you can tell. Harold, do you have any Elvis first day? I do have some first day issue stamp covers. I don't collect them. It's amazing how many countries have done Elvis stamps, but I do have some. I couldn't put my hands on them though. Danny, I need to do a stream and show my collection. I said that before. You need to start a channel. JJR, hello. Where in the world are you? I like to know where people are from. Paul, the original house is gone when we got there. Incredible memories. Sold for $11.5 million. Wow. Yeah. I'd have still wanted something from the site. Dug up a bit of the garden or something. Cut a bit of turf and transplant it. Mal, just check mine. I got the first day stamp issue envelope. First day stamp issue envelope. Is that the CD set with the swatching? Was there a stamp? There were various things in it when it came. They weren't mentioned, and there's nothing on the box. So there's that. There's a little photo booklet. I mean, are these original to the set, or somebody just put them in? Andy Warhol postcard. Andy Warhol Elvis magnet, apparently. That with the poster. What's that? Huh. I didn't even know that was there. Huh. I got this when I opened it, was surprised to see that and didn't look at the rest of the stuff. So here's all this original to the box. So was there a magnet? It says Andy Warhol magnet. And then the 2 CDs. I better look under the seat. Look under the CD. So, everyone has got this. Did you have all this inside? On the box, it doesn't say anything about inserts. Strange. I didn't pay a lot for that either. Paul, I have the CD box set, but no fabric. Isn't that strange? Sean, I really like Sylvia. Yep, I like Sylvia. Alan, hello. I was wondering how Todd Slaughter is. The last time I looked, he hadn't put any new videos up for quite a while. Because he didn't look very well, but I've not heard anything. I quite enjoyed his little videos. Harold, except for the clambake suit, the other clothes were sent to him, I heard. That's right, the clambake suit. He does mention that that was there as well. Wasn't particularly keen on that. Great big stitches. Christopher, nice talking to you. You too. I've got to get back to the dredge. Stay healthy. We all got to stay healthy. That's the most important thing. There's nothing more important than your health. Thank you. Lila, what's the weirdest item you've seen bearing Elvis's name and did you buy it? I talked about this in another live stream and I actually looked to see if I could find one for sale. It was a really naff Elvis radio, which my mum bought me. So you've got Elvis figure. Didn't look anything like him. A bizarre outfit. Nothing like anything he ever wore. And the bass was a little, very poor radio. It was really bad. I have actually looked to see if I can find one for sale. If I can, I'll buy it. I think when I mentioned it, a couple of other people had also had it. That for me was always like the naffest thing. I'm sure there are other things that are worse, but I had that. The radio actually turned out to be helpful because I used to take it to school and I would have it in my blazer inside pocket and I'd run a cable up my arm and I would sit and listen to the cricket in lessons. Harold, I got one in the box set you just showed. Mal, I think somebody put them in. It's weird, isn't it? Nice of them to put it in if it wasn't there originally. Obviously, the stamped envelope was there because it's in the booklet, but the other stuff, very strange. Paul got all the contents you have, but no magnet. Right. Well, the fact that Paul's got the same contents suggests to me that there were some boxes that had more stuff in. Were they using up some stuff they had? Swatches they had left over? I don't know. Isn't it strange? But then if they had swatches left over, why did they do the box without the swatches? Strange. Paul, in hindsight, I really wish I had done that, but got the memories and the pics. Yeah. I've got a few bits and pieces I've picked up. I remember when my parents went to Rome when I was a kid. I have a fascination with Roman history. I've always had it. And I said to my mum, bring me back a piece of the Forum. And she did. It's only a small piece, but it's a little piece of marble. And when I look at that and hold that, I think, God, imagine what this would have seen. Now, of course, it could have been a piece of marble that was cut 50 years ago and dropped. But in my imagination, Julius Caesar walked past it, and Cicero give a speech in front of it. And Lila, how do you know what your next video will be based on? Do you plan a certain release? Some I have got planned, yeah. There are certain themes. Sometimes I'm just doing something and something pops into my head, like the 1956 video. The last one I did. I was looking up some stuff about 1956 releases, and as I was going through, I thought, well, I've actually got nearly all the American 56 releases. There are a couple of extremely rare things I don't have, like if you've seen it, I show a gatefold EP with 2 discs. There was actually a 3-disc version, which is extremely rare. Not seen one for sale. Must be worth a lot of money. But I had pretty much everything else, and I thought, well, why not do a video? It's just astonishing how many discs they released in 1956. And yes, I understand that RCA were marketing to people who couldn't afford albums, so from that point of view it makes sense. But it is an astronomical amount of releases by one artist in 1 year. Of course, after I'd done that, I thought, well, I'll look at 1957 and see what I've got, and then maybe I'll end up doing every year. I can hold those in reserve when I can't think of something to do. So, like, I'm going to do one on Roustabout. I'm waiting for one album to arrive that I want to include. But I'm not sure how many Roustabouts I've got. I've got quite a few. But what I do have, which I will include, even though it's not an album, for those who don't know, there was, of course, no single from Roustabout. What there was a promo of Roustabout that was sent out to radio stations. Now, why it wasn't released as a single, I don't know. On the B-side, One Track Heart. Now, this did happen a couple of times where a promo single was released, but no actual single was released. So that's Roustabout. And as it says, it's not for sale. So they should have given me it, really. Danny, you got the Elvis Perfect for Parties? I do. I did actually think after I'd made the video about 1956, I thought, hold on, was Perfect for Parties 1956? Should I have included it? I think it's here somewhere. Perfect for Parties. Just give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Take a moment to say, is that him? Squirty looking guy. Where's that from? Who knows? Come on, Perfect for Parties, where are you? Now here's a case of, I know it's here, and I can't see it. I'm going to have to pick all of these up. Right. If anyone hasn't seen my 1956 video, why not? That's the gatefold EP I was talking about. There is a 3-disc version. It's very, very rare. And on the back, look, is Mario Lanza. And Elvis was a huge fan of Mario Lanza. Go back in there. Right, let me see if I can find Perfect for Parties. So these are all my American and UK EPs. If anyone hasn't seen it, there's the Aloha from Hawaii EP, which was made for jukebox use only. And I do have the song titles printed as well to go in the jukebox. So not easy to find. The back cover is actually blank. Perfect for Parties. Where are you? Should be here. And it isn't. Oh, that's weird. Has it got mixed up? Hold on a second. I got it out recently. When I thought about it, I got it out. What did I do with it? Oh, there you go. Not putting it back where it belongs. Perfect for Parties. Highlights album. Now, so it's various artists. Can't actually remember which Elvis song. Love Me, right? So Love Me is on there. But if you've never heard it, in between each track is introduced by Elvis. So he talks on it. Now you might be able to find it on YouTube if you've never heard it. But he introduces each song. Let's put it back where it belongs. I don't know why it found its way down there amongst the American singles. Lila, I love your Hello, and that's the way it is videos. Amazing how many versions there are. Yep, and I've got more since then. Alexander, I own the SPD 23 threefold. You had it. Wow. I've never seen it in other than in a book. Never seen one for sale. You should have sold it to me. Harold, I have a CD of Perfect for Parties. I've seen that on eBay. I did think about buying it. Mal, I recently picked up a promo copy of the Japanese Blue Hawaii album. I'll have to get you to check the new release in your new book. All right, promo copy. I don't have a promo copy. I don't know if Andy's still on here, but he collects factory test pressings of Elvis albums. They're fascinating to look at. I don't have any. They're expensive. He's got some extremely rare things, including a unique one for an album that was going to be a UK album that was going to be released. They made the test pressing and then decided to change it. And he's got the only known copy. He's got an amazing collection. If you've got Paul Alner's book, the test pressings that are shown in there are from his collection. I don't know if he's still watching or has he fallen asleep. Mal, oh yeah, Mal, I've done that one. Marcus, glad to see you're still alive. I have to go grocery shopping. Yes, I'm starting to get a beard growth. I've been in here so long now. It's 10 o'clock now. So I can't stay on too much longer because I'm supposed to be leaving the house at 7 tomorrow. I have to be somewhere. So we'll see, but I'll have to call it a day eventually. Lila, do you think Elvis copied Roy Hamilton? No. Elvis was influenced and greatly admired Roy Hamilton, but he didn't copy him. There's all these things about, oh, Elvis copied. Elvis, why don't they say this about other artists? Elvis didn't copy. Elvis was influenced by, Elvis admired. Was it Jackie Wilson? I think it was Jackie Wilson who said, people say that Elvis copied us when in fact we all copied Elvis. Everybody's influenced. Nobody is totally unique. Everybody's been influenced by somebody before. Elvis greatly admired Roy Hamilton. And yes, he influenced his style. But Elvis's style is unique. Nobody sounded like Elvis. I don't sound like nobody. So no, Elvis didn't copy anyone. Elvis pulled together different threads, different influences, and created something totally new. Find something that sounds like the King Creole soundtrack. Yes, it's influenced by New Orleans and jazz and blues, but find something that sounds like it. Elvis's rock and roll. Elvis's rock and roll is different to Jerry Lee Lewis's and Carl Perkins and Bill Haley's and Buddy Holly's. His music stands in this unique place. Paul, after further research, that nipper was cast in 1970. So it's a vintage nipper. Wow, even better. I hope everybody's rushed to eBay and bought one now then. We'll start the Nipper Club. Owners of the 1970 Nipper. Alexander. I remember I bought the threefold cover without the discs and it took ages to find the 3 EPs. Wow. Well, that's something, to find the 3 EPs individually. Marcus has retracted his message. We'll never know. Was it the secret to life, the universe, and everything? Are you in fact the Messiah, or a very naughty boy? Did anybody get the squirty looking guy reference? Can't see. Harold, I've got a CD of Roustabout with I'm a Roustabout bonus track on it. I like that, I'm a Roustabout, and what a surprise that was when that turned up. Who knew? I'd never seen it mentioned. Are there any others? I remember when I was in Memphis one evening at the bar. I'm not a big drinker. Never liked the taste of alcohol, thank God. There were a group of guys talking. Now, I don't know who this was. It could have been complete nonsense. But he said that he'd spoken to a sound engineer that worked for RCA, who was there when Elvis cut a song for Frankie and Johnny called Bad Penny. Now, at the time I thought, fantastic, a song we haven't heard. Over the years, I'm thinking, was Bad Penny an alternate title for Hard Luck? Because, of course, there is no Bad Penny on the soundtrack logs. There's no recording. So I'm thinking now, maybe it was a working title for Hard Luck, or an alternative title for Hard Luck. But surely there have to be some lost recordings. I always remember reading about Sophia Loren, if you haven't ever read that Elvis recorded some songs on a cassette tape and gave it to Sophia Loren. And she had it at her house in Italy. And it was in the basement. And one day the basement flooded. So how about that? The tape was destroyed. Andy, in the 1990s, Graceland shipped a load of memorabilia over and toured Scotland. Wow. Don't remember that at all. Items were just roped off. Wow. Yeah. So they've done this a few times. Poor squirty looking guy. That's the way it is. No, it wasn't. That's the way it is. Close. Maybe you'll get it. Take some time to drink some Wawa. Lila, Elvis aside, are you glad vinyl is back, and do you like splatter versions? Or can't read that word. There's a heart over it on my screen. Versions. Am I glad vinyl's back? There's a nostalgia to vinyl. But what I do particularly like are the album covers. That was something I always regretted with CDs. Album covers are superb pieces of art in themselves, and they look fantastic. CDs, it just completely lost that. So that's why I've always liked albums. So I'm glad they're back. I think the free-for-all of companies re-releasing all of Elvis's records with different covers and different coloured vinyls has got out of hand. You can't buy them all. There's just too many of them. So I am concentrating on music on vinyl because I just like the quality. I do have some of the others. Sometimes they'll put an album out with a cover on it. I like the cover. So I do have some in my collection. I did start buying them. But you have to give up. There's too many of them. "1962 Jive-a-tone. Hello. Doesn't One Broken Heart for Sale include Bad Penny in the lyrics?" Everybody's singing the song now, trying to... Bad Penny. Sale for a penny. Not Bad Penny. Sale for a penny. Mal, are you any closer to buying a record deck yet? No. A friend of mine was helping me out. He was going to make it happen. He's got a pair of speakers for me. He actually makes speakers. He once made a set of speakers for Pete Townsend. I've seen one of his pairs. They're amazing. He has lamb's wool inside them and just astonishing works of art almost. He's got a pair for me. And he said he's going to source everything else. I'm actually seeing him next week. I'll ask how it's going. But he said he's going to make it happen because I start looking and then I see a record I want. Well, are you a fan of Elvis tribute acts? No. No. I've talked about this several times. I think they've done a lot of damage to Elvis's reputation and image in the public eye. There are a few very good. Sean Clush, is that his name? First time I saw him, I thought, wow, he's really good. He's the closest I've ever seen to Elvis on stage in 1970. Unfortunately, most of the others are not good, and some are just embarrassingly awful, and there should be a law against them performing in public. Paul, apart from the infamous Having Fun on Stage, do you have any talking interview albums? Yes. There are. I'm trying to think. It seems like Personally Elvis, which is a double album of interviews. And there are some others, various press conferences and interviews. Never play them. I've got them, but I've never put them on. I have one copy of Having Fun on Stage. I won't buy another copy unless FTD do a 6 CD box set with book, which includes all of the, like Aloha from Hawaii, Madison Square Garden, live in Memphis, with all the music taken out, just the spoken word. And with a special dedication to Ed from King's Court on the cover. Got to make it happen. If Colonel Parker was alive, it would have happened. The Elvis Appreciator, happy Easter to you too. Of course, it was it's Good Friday. Lila Ben Portsmouth. Don't remember if I've ever heard Ben Portsmouth. I saw some photographs of him that I thought were he really did look like Elvis. Doing sort of That's the Way It Is period. I was impressed with the look. I don't think, I'll have to look him up on YouTube. I'm sure he's going to be there. I've never actually heard him. Gee, have you ever bought an album and found you have it already? Yes. I've got some down here. This is where they go. I buy it, get home all excited, look at my list, and sometimes it's not on the list, and then I look for where I keep them, and there it is. Yeah, as I said earlier, I nearly did it today. An album for £100, and my finger was hovering over the buy it now button. I got all excited, and just something in my head, check your list. I checked the list. I had it. Now I do have something that I have two of that I'm going to give to somebody. I just got to work out how I'm going to do it. Now I saw this being offered for sale by somebody I bought quite a bit from, and it was a reasonable price. So I thought I'm going to buy that to give to somebody. So Elvis Spin In, Spin Out. This is Dutch. The tracks on it are all alternate takes. And it is wonderfully mad yellow vinyl. So that is going to be a prize. I just have to work out. Now, when I did it before, gave some stuff away, I asked people to send me an email with where they are in the world on it. And then I did a live draw. And the reason I did that is I'm not going to tell you my email address, but it is out there. I have given it in a video. It is there. So shall I do that again? Because I can't think of another way of doing it. So, if you want to win this 10-inch yellow Elvis Spin In, Spin Out, and you've got to realise this is the ultimate dum-de-dum, yeah, do the Watusi beach party album. I mean, how can you turn that down? Send me an email. Tell me where in the world you are, because I like to know where everyone's from to see how wide this goes. And then I will cut your email addresses up and we'll have a live draw. Next time I do a live, I'll draw one out and you get to win this. Now, I have seen this being offered for £75. I didn't pay £75 for this one. I already had it. So there you go. Email me. You might have to watch all of my videos to find my email address. There's a challenge. And just tell me where in the world you are, and then we'll do a draw. I think last time I sent one to America and one to Israel, and the second time one to the UK. I even pay the postage. How about that? Because I put it on my, I'm self-employed, so I put it on my business expense. Don't tell the tax man. So there's the challenge. Find my email. Some of you know it anyway. Now, if you've already got this, I ask you please to play fair and not enter. Or you can send me your where you are, but say, don't enter me. Now everybody's disappeared. They're all looking for my email address. Lila, speaking of I'm leaving, have you seen the AI generated video performance? I've seen a few and they are very impressive. They are very impressive. I spent some time looking into how they're made and I was impressed. What was the one I saw? After Loving You. Occasionally you can see where sort of you get a hint of how it's done, but wow, it's impressive. It's as close to seeing Elvis perform After Loving You as you're ever going to see. I was impressed. Poor Man's Gold AI was excellent. It was interesting to hear what the complete Poor Man's Gold might have sounded like. I have to say, when I heard the opening line as Elvis sings it, I thought, would it work as a song? It didn't immediately grab me, put it that way, but I didn't know the song. Damn was it a fire engine? Alexander, you're right. There's too much vinyl release to collect and they're really milking it. Absolutely. What I particularly don't like is when they release an album and the same company release exactly the same thing, but in 5 different colours. I've noticed they're doing that now with EPs and singles, some particular companies. So they'll choose like a Japanese EP, reproduce the cover, and release it in 5 different colours. I avoid those. So Alexander only collects things released during Elvis's life in America, Germany, UK, and Japan. Nice. I'm doing the same, but in USA, Germany, UK, Japan, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, Spain, Italy, Portugal, Sweden, anywhere. I like the variations. I like regular albums with completely different covers. I can't resist them. That's why I buy all these Brazilian things and all these unusual things. 20 past, 10 minutes. I'm going to have to call it a day. How long have we been on? Over 3 hours. 28 people. Wow. I like doing this. I tend not to get to talk about Elvis. I don't know if anybody saw the Elvis Archival Preservation Society. That's a bit of a mouthful. Video today about the short film that somebody made. If you haven't, look it up and watch the film. It's on YouTube. It's about 30 minutes long, 15 minutes long, something like that. And it's very good. I liked it. It's the story of a guy who's supposed to have a cassette tape, of an unreleased Elvis song from 1969. And it's worth watching. What brought it up, you say, on that was there's a scene in it in a record shop where this Elvis fan is flicking through records, and there's this attractive young lady looking through records, and they're sort of smiling at each other, and she holds up a copy of the Beatles album. Oh my God, I've forgotten the name of it. Probably their most famous one. Anyway, she holds it up and smiles, and he holds up Elvis Today, and this look comes across her face, and she walks away. That did make me laugh. Why can't I remember the name of that album? The one with all the cartoon figures on the front. Sergeant Pepper. It came back eventually. My dad actually did a Beatles show. Again, I did talk about this in an earlier video, which probably you haven't seen. My dad trained as a cinema projectionist. And the first film he showed himself was King Creole, so we bought the single, and that's the first single in my collection. And he also did stage shows, he did lighting, and he did the Beatles, amongst other people. And his comment on the Beatles was, it's a good job that the women were all screaming so loud, because they sounded awful. That was his opinion. Alexander, I'm aiming to get all US records in all label formats, silver top, white top, oh, that's a big ask. There are some extremely rare things. How close are you to getting there? I was really surprised recently when a Moody Blue black vinyl American went for 75 quid in the UK. I didn't bother watching it because I thought I was going to go to kick myself. Of course, you don't know how much the winning bidder actually bid. Lila, is it true that everyone says Graceland is small? Graceland is small. Well, put it this way. Compared to my house, Graceland is huge. Some of the properties you see when, helicopters fly over Bel Air and you see these huge, sprawling complexes, Graceland is small. But Graceland was a home. It wasn't a showpiece. It wasn't a look how rich I am. It was Elvis's home. So it's got plenty of rooms. They're small rooms. It's not a palace. It's a home. But if you're born in a 2-room shack, it's enormous. You can only imagine when Elvis and his parents walked into Graceland, what they must have thought. Danny, is the black Bloody Moo vinyl rare? The American one is. Yeah. I remember I was always confused because, of course, if you bought Moody Blue in the UK, it was black vinyl. I started hearing people say, oh, the black vinyl's so rare and expensive. It's the American black vinyl is rare. There's always been a bit of confusion, but if you watch Robert on Collecting the King, he explained it all. They released it on blue vinyl. Then they did a second small batch in black and then went back to blue. So the black American vinyl Moody Blue is rare. I've seen people asking £300-400 for it. But this was a UK seller and it went for 70 quid and I kicked myself. Alexander, I'm not nearly complete. I am not. I would have been shocked if you'd said you were anywhere near. It's a massive undertaking. And there must be some really expensive albums amongst them. Lila, do you have more 7-inch singles than albums? No, I don't. Because I've got every American single and I've got every UK single except one. But I've got one of each. But like Alexander's saying, if you say, I'm only going to collect Blue Hawaii has been reissued in different pressings many times. So if you look at his comment, I'm aiming to get all the records, silver top, white top, rigid orange, Dynaflex, tan, black AFL one. So there are some albums you will find the album pressed in all those. So I have more albums than singles. Because as far as I'm concerned, when I've bought, say, Way Down on a single, I've got it. All right, you can get the solid center, and you can get the what's the word, press out center. So that's two. Now, if you get Paul's book, you will see just how many actual variations there are of these things. It even surprised me. A single, say, Crying in the Chapel, just how many actual variations were pressed in the UK. Many times, there are differences on the label. But I only want one. Whereas the albums, the differences are quite big sometimes. So I've got a lot more. Who can guess the one UK single I don't have? The one UK pressed single I don't have? Can anybody guess? Alexander, the USAFL1 Moody Blue Black vinyl, not the 1980 ASQL release. There are so many variations. Right. Alan, Graceland is small compared to other sprawling mansions. Prince Harry wasn't very complimentary about it. And I'm not very complimentary about Prince Harry. We won't get on to him. Total disappointment. Betrayed everything that he stood for and everyone that supported him. And as far as I'm concerned, you can keep him in America for good. Don't deport him. Keep him there. And his awful wife with him. I am a royalist. I believe in parliamentary democratic monarchy. Danny's got it. I got a thing about you, baby. Now, if you ever go into a charity shop and you see, I've got a thing about you, baby, orange label, made in England, I'll cry if you don't sell it to me. It's the rarest. They pressed very few. What they actually did was imported the American one into the UK with the picture sleeve. So if you went into a record shop, that's what you would buy. And at the time, you were probably delighted because it had a picture sleeve on it. So if I'd have gone into a record shop back then and seen an England press one and an American one, I'd have bought the American for the picture sleeve. The UK one, so few were pressed. I've seen pictures of it. I've never seen one for sale. I have no idea what it would fetch if one came up for sale. There was a vinyl shortage because of the oil problems at the time. And RCA in England was struggling to press albums. That's also why Raised on Rock, if you bought it in the UK, you got the American pressed album. They did produce a few UK press ones. I've got one. The cover and the album say made in England. Very rare. I think mine cost me 300 quid. Yep, I've got a thing about you, baby. Has anybody got one? Lyle, I've been looking. I can't find one for sale. I have no idea what a seller would want for one. I do dream of walking into a charity shop and looking through their box of singles, and there it is. Because it could happen. Because they would not expect it to be rare. It's just another Elvis record. Paul, I have moulded label, push out, solid, and black label of Way Down. And the GSS version. Yeah, there are the moulded label ones. I think, weren't they done in France? There were several done like that. Just pressed as a complete unit. The one exception to that, of course, is My Boy. I've got, I think, 20 odd copies of My Boy. For some reason, I started collecting them. I missed one recently, South Africa. Somebody bought it before I saw it. I don't have a South African one. But I've got lots of rarities. The one that I would love is it Mexico? They put a picture sleeve on which is, I'm trying to remember, if I remember right, it's the picture from the Camden You'll Never Walk Alone, but it's my boy. Now I've got a Mexican pressing, but in an ordinary sleeve. This is a case of, is this sleeve genuine? I've seen it listed. There are pictures of it. Never seen one for sale. Paul, looking out for the UK Polk Salad picture sleeve. I've got one. There is a question mark over whether they are genuine. Now, I did know somebody who told me they'd seen it back in the 70s. But some people say it's not genuine. I do have one. I did a video where I showed all those sleeves, including that one. Also have the picture sleeve of UK subscription lines with no song titles on it. Yep. Lila, it has a double A side with Take Good Care of Her. It does indeed. So now you all have to go out and find one. And then when you found it, you have to sell it to me. Do you collect the Red Label RCA singles? I've got... Where's the box? I actually moved this box today, so I know where it is. This box, of course, I have the proper one down there with all the 10-inch singles in. This was in a charity shop, just the box. And they wanted £2 for it, so I bought it. So in here, I've stuck all my gold standard singles. Now, I have done a video on the gold standard singles explaining them. So here's the Red Label that he mentioned. I do have... How many have I got? I'm not sure. I do have a selection. So all of these are gold standard. So if you see one today, that's probably what you're going to see. This was the last pressing. And I actually found a lot of these for sale in the shops here in England in the 1990s. I think I went into one shop and they had 12. I bought them all. 12 different ones. Let me see if they're all mixed up, of course, in my usual fashion. So I think most of these are the black. Last. I can't say last. But I do have some of the original series. Now they look exactly like the American pressings. They have the same serial number, except instead of 47, they have 447. So a lot of people will be selling those without realising that they're not the regular release. Let's see if I can spot one of the originals, which I probably won't. I know I took a couple of the originals out for a video. I'm not sure how many of the reds I've got. Just spotted one of the first. Where did it go? Picked it up and dropped it. And then won't be able to find it again, no doubt. Talk amongst yourselves whilst I go through every single. I actually picked up an original series and then dropped it back in. There you go. So this is called Dog on Side. You get dog on top as well. So this is Heartbreak Hotel, and if you look just above Nipper, it says 4470605. So the original pressing just says 470605. So on these early ones, it doesn't even say gold standard on the label. That's how you identify it. So I should really make a list of these and see what I need. Alexander, just checked. Do not have the I've Got About You thing. Didn't know it was rare. Yeah. Yeah, if you went into the shop to buy it at the time, you got the American pressing. Because of the oil shortage. There was a shortage of vinyl in the UK. So what the record companies did, they agreed a quota for each artist with each company. So UK pressings of I've Got a Thing About You Baby and Raised on Rock were very limited. So I found a Raised on Rock album, but I've never seen, other than pictures of it, I've never seen one in real life. Paul, 6 different UK singles with the same image. Yep, I did a video about that. I didn't realise that, of course, in the UK we didn't have picture sleeves. And that's what you grew up with, so you're used to it. And then one day my mum came home. Can't remember when this was. I was still young. And she'd seen this magazine, which is around here somewhere. Fantastic magazine. And in it was a discography, an American discography with pictures. And when I turned to the singles and saw all these picture sleeves, I was just blown away. I was so envious. Oh my God, I want these. I now got them all. But that took me a long time to collect them. And in the UK, we had a few. And we had 6 that had the same picture sleeve. They just printed the song titles on them. They put a lot of thought into that. Well, it's been a lot of fun talking to everybody. Thank you for everybody for turning up. And some of you have stuck with me for 3 hours and nearly 40 minutes. I always like the Twist special sleeve, yeah. Mal, do you say you need a copy of Press Raised on Rock? I've got the Raised on Rock England album. Well, I do have it. Cost me a fair bit of money, but I've got it. Thanks. So I need to get some sleep. I'll be waking up early anyway. I always do. I have to be up and ready to be out the door at 7 and being picked up. So I've enjoyed tonight. It's been great to see everybody. Thank you all for coming. It means a lot. It's great to talk about Elvis with people who understand. Thank you all for subscribing. If you want to win that album, send me an email with where you are in the world. And the next live chat I do, we'll do a live draw again. I might get my wife to draw the winner. Not sure when I'll make my next video. I'm going to try and do them more often. At the moment, it's sort of struggling to do one a month, which I would like to do them more regularly. So thank you to everyone. Thank you for your prayers and wishes for my health. I am okay. I'll be okay. So, till next time, bye for now. Thanks, Harold. I will try and do something. Yeah, not on a Sunday. Today's Friday. Good Friday. And I might change the times as well so that different parts of the world can get in a bit easier. So Good night to everyone, and thanks. How would you stop this end stream?